नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्देशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जसोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जसोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जसोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री प्रभुपाद। Today I am doing bhajan of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur R K Namayacharya from Geetavali. R K Namayacharya পড়িতে জীব মিনা আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতে জীব মিনা নাহি জানো পথ হয়ে রবে তুমি চিরদিন নাহি জানো পথ হয়ে রবে তুমি চিরদিন আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা अति तुच्छ भोगाशे बंधे होए माया पाशे अति तुच्छ भोगाशे बंधे होए माया पाशे रोहिले विकृत भावे दंडीय जात पराधीन रोहिले विकृत भावे दंडेय जथा पराधीन नहीं जानो पथ होए रोबे तुमी चिरदिन नहीं जानो पथ होए रोबे तुमी चिरदिन আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা একোন ভাকাতি ভালে কৃষ্ণ প্রেমে সিন্ধু जले एको न भक्ति भले कृष्ण प्रेम सिंधु जले क्रीड़ा कोरियानायसे थाको तुमी कृष्णाधीना क्रीड़ा कोरियानायसे थाको तुमी कृष्णाधीना नहीं जानो पथ होए रोबे तुमी चिरदिन नहीं जानो पथ होए रोबे तुमी चिरदिन আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা আর কেন মায়া জালে পড়িতেছ জীব বিনা Translation: O fish-like soul, why have you fallen into the entangling nets of Maya? You have not understood that being bound up by those nets, you will have to remain in this material world for a long, long time. After becoming captive in Maya's snare, due to your desires for unsignificant enjoyments, you remain transformed in a spiritually diseased condition, punishable just like a disobedient servant. Now, by the power of devotional service, always remain subservient to Lord Krishna, swimming and frolicking freely in the nectarine ocean of Krishna Prema. Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. And now we'll start off with our usual program. We'll start with the group pranam and other invocation prayers. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं तजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। जयतां सुरतोपङ्गर्मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्बोज राधामदनमोहनौ दिव्याद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुम श्रीमद्रत्नाङ्गरसिंहासनस्थितौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवौ पृष्ठालीविषेभ्यमानौ स्मरामि। श्रीमान रासरसाम्बे वंशीवटतटस्थित कर्षणवेणुस्वनैर्गोपीर गोपीनाथ श्रीअस्तु नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। Now we'll offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नमने गौरतिस्य नमः। कृष्ण वर्णं तुषा कृष्णं संगोपांगस्त्र पार्षदं यज्ञ संकीर्तन प्रायर यजन्ति सुमेधसा। नाना शास्त्र विचारण के निपुणौ षड्धर्म संस्थापकौ लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवन मान्य शरण्याकरौ। राधा कृष्ण पदारविंद भजनान आनंदेन मत्तालिकौ वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुग श्रीजीव गोपालकौ। I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing the religious, eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the divine couple, Sri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskutya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now we'll start with from where we left. I'll share the screen. We have been talking about Mathura, after Mathura Mahatmya, we are doing Brajamandal Parikrama. We have seen up to 3 days, that is on the day one Vrindavana, and then the next Vrindavan to Mathura, then next Mathura Parikrama. Now today we'll go through Mathura to Madhuban, Madhuban to Santanukunda, and Santanukunda to Radhakunda. And tomorrow Govardhana and Radhakunda Parikrama. That is between today and tomorrow. I plan to finish at least till day 8, that is Radhakunda Parikrama. All the important places which one should go around Radhakunda. And the balance of the things from 9 to 30, whenever we go get time, I'll cover them because we are going, we are discussing them in slightly greater detail. We saw in the first day of ISKCON Parikrama, what are the various places to be visited in Vrindavan Dham that we saw. That is, we go from the ISKCON temple, go behind ISKCON Gosala, then the Baraha Ghata, Kaliya Ghata, Madan Mohan Mandir, that is the Dwadasaditya Tila, then the Seva Kunja, Sringar Vata, Chir Ghat, Kesi Ghat, Dhira Samira, Bamsi Vata, Jagannath Mandira, then Chaitanya Kutira, then Chaitanya Baithaka, then from Atalachungi, we come back to the ISKCON temple. Then next day we saw Vrindavan to Mathura. In this, the most important thing is the Mathurod Bihari Mandir, that is the Yagyapatnis, when they had fed the friends of, not only the friends of Krishna, but Krishna and Balrama, that place and some other places we saw. And in the next day, we went around Mathura and saw various places around Mathura. And now today we'll start with our journey from Mathura to Madhubana. Now, the first place is Dhruvatila. Dhruvatila, I'll show the photo. Yeah, this is Dhruvatila. That is located at a slightly higher ground. The Dhruvanarayana temple is there on the top, and you'll find the deities smiling. And that is Lord Narayana and Dhruva Maharaj, they are smiling. And who else are there? Narada Muni is there, Garuda is there, Lakshmi Narayana is there. And now the local pujaris, they will introduce you to the deities there. And at Dhruvatila, in the photograph you are seeing, the ISKCON class is going on. And let us know something about Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj's story happened in Satya Yuga. Lord Narayana had blessed the 5-year-old son of Uttanapada, that is Dhruva Maharaj. And the King Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was the most favorite. Actually, Suniti and Suruchi, they are the 2 sisters. Now, Dhruva Maharaj was Suniti's son, and one day the little boy affectionately tried to climb onto his father's lap while his father was sitting on the throne. But at that time, Suruchi rebuked him, stating that if he wanted to sit on the king's lap, then he should take birth from her only. That means he should die and then take birth from her womb. Then only he will be able to sit there. And despite the harshness of his rebuke, King Uttanapada did not take any action. He did not say anything in defense of Dhruva Maharaj. That's why Dhruva Maharaj was a Kshatriya, and his pride was severely wounded by Suruchi's words. And he went to his mother in tears. And when Suniti heard what her co-wife had said, she was equally aggrieved. Dhruva Maharaj then vowed to gain the kingdom greater than that of his grandfather even. His grandfather is Lord Brahma. Now Suniti advised him that he should approach the Supreme Lord and that he should go to the forest and find the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord will be able to give whatever he wants. Therefore, Dhruva Maharaj left for the forest immediately, determined to attain the Lord's benediction. Then, when Narada Muni saw the little 5-year-old boy on a journey about almost 450 to 500 kilometers journey toward Vrindavan, Narad Muni, he was struck with wonder and he came to meet Dhruva Maharaj. But he first tested Dhruva Maharaj, telling him that he is just a small child of 5 years and he should learn to tolerate these things, insults of others. But when he saw the determination of the young prince, he taught him how to practice sadhana that would attract the Lord. He said what is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that I wish all good fortune to you. You should go to the bank of Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvana, and there be purified. Just by going there, going to Madhuvana, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. And like this, Dhruva Maharaj went and he did penance there. And in 6 months' time, he could see the Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord gave him the benediction of what he had wanted. Now, please remember that Madhuvana has been the place of the Lord's pastime in all the 4 yugas. Now, Dhruva Maharaj lived during Satya Yuga. We heard this story. In Treta Yuga, the demon named Madhu, he settled here in this Madhuvana, and he was Madhu was the son of Lavadasura, and finally Lord Rama had sent Satrughna to kill Lavanasura. Lavanasura was very powerful and a number of mystical weapons in his arsenal, making it almost impossible for anybody to defeat him. Therefore, Satrughna had to find a way to catch him unarmed. Lord Rama gave his brother the Adi Varaha deity to protect him. When Satrughna first arrived in Madhuvana, he hid for some time to become familiar with Lavanasura's habits. And one morning, he saw the demon carrying several tigers, a water buffalo, an elephant, a large snake, and a crocodile, all impaled on a massive spear. And this was apparently his breakfast. And Satrughna took this moment to challenge him. And Lavanasura asked him to wait for a few moments while he fetched his mystical weapon. But Satrughna, he called him a coward. And after all, he was already armed, that is Satrughna, and he fought with him and he killed him. Then Satrughna, he named his capital as Madhupuri or Mathura. And now this is known as Mathura. Now the cave where Lavanasura lived is not far away from the Dhruvatila. And in Dwapara Yuga, Lord Krishna brought his cows to pasture in Madhuvana. And in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Madhuvana while walking in the Brajamandal Parikrama. So thus we saw the Lord has been doing Leelas here in Madhuvana in all the 4 yugas. And then we come to Maholi. Now, Maholi is a very famous Brajavasi village. Now, if you go there, the local people, the children, they become very much fascinated with the kirtan, with the people who come there, and they come and meet without any inhibition. And here, much of the activity of this village, Maholi, revolves around Krishna Kunda. Now, Krishna Kunda was created by Lord Krishna when he struck the earth with his flute. And Krishna and his coward friends, they watered the cows here. And while walking through Madhuvana, they carried their cowherding sticks on their shoulders and hung their lunch bags from them. And they herded the cows, calling hee ho, like this. And then there is the Dauji temple, which is next to Krishna Kunda. let us see what is there. Okay, Dauji temple is there, and this is also another. You saw the Krishna Kunda photograph. Now let us move on to the next day of ISKCON. Now here what is happening? The journey is from Madhubana to Santanukunda. Now Madhubana or Maholi village, that is we saw Dhruvatila Satrugna temple. Then we go to Sankarsana Kunda, then to Kumudavana, Padmakunda, and thereafter to Santanukunda. All these places we'll see. And the various leelas Krishna had performed there. And now the first one is Talavana. Talavana is about 5 kilometers from Madhubana. And here Lord Balrama had killed Dhenukasura. What had happened one day while the coward boys were in Madhubana, a breeze was blowing from the direction from Talavana forest, carrying the sweet aroma of the ripe tala fruits. But this forest was viciously protected by Dhenukasura and his other demon friends. That's why the friends of Krishna and Balrama, they feared going there. But with Krishna and Balrama, when they came, they requested them that they want to taste the tala fruit. That's why they went there, and you know the Leela. It is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam how Dhenukasura he challenged, and then Balrama killed Dhenukasura, and thereafter all the other demons, his demon friends, they came, and they were all killed by Balrama. Balrama caught hold of the legs of the demon with his one hand and whirling him around, threw him on the rooftop, the treetops. And while this was being wheeled around by Balrama, the demon, he lost his life. Then Balrama threw the demon into the biggest palm tree. The demon's body was so heavy that the palm tree fell upon the other tree, and several trees they came down. And it appeared that a great hurricane was passing through in the forest, and all the trees were falling down one on one another. Then there is a let us. Then there is a local temple here with the beautiful deities of Balrama and his eternal consort Revati Devi. When somebody goes there, you should visit that place. And then we come to Kumudavana. Now, Kumudavana, after Talavana, if you walk toward the southwest, then you will come to Kumudavana. Kumuda means the water lily. And this forest is named because the bright red water lilies once grew in abundance here, and now they are not there. Now here Krishna and Balrama and his coward boys, they herded their cows and enjoyed eating lunch in the forest. And when you leave Madhubana and enter Talavana, you should offer your obeisances to the forest, because this forest is very holy, where Krishna and Balrama used to sport there. In the Adi Varaha Purana, it is said that the third forest, Kumudavana, is there in Vrindavana, and anyone who visits this forest becomes worshipable personality in the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is given in Bhakti Ratnakara. And then the waters of Padmakunda, let us see. Yeah, this is Padmakunda. The waters of Padmakunda, they glisten in the morning sunshine. And it is said that Lord Kapila, he performed austerities in this place. So there is a small temple also dedicated to him in this kunda. In the Baraha Purana, it states that bathing in this lake reveals one to all the imports of the Vedic knowledge. He doesn't have to do anything. All the Vedic knowledge will enter him. And uh, next, let us see what is there. Next is Santanukunda. Santanukunda, presently, if you see, it is almost dry and the dust sweeps the area in the summer season. Then you go to the temple of Santanu Bihari, which is on a hillock in the center of the kunda, and here the Brajavasis they also go and worship Santanu Bihari, and the deities are famous in Braja for awarding children to the childless couples who approach there. And if you go there, then the pujari, the priest, you will give a list of such successful people also. Then while you go there, you should sprinkle water on you from the kunda. And nearby that Santanu Kunda, there is a village called Datia, where Krishna had killed Dantabakra. We have heard the story how Krishna killed Dantabakra while coming to Braja after 100 years of his exile in Mathura and Dwarka. And Bhakti Ratnakara explains that after Krishna met with the Brajavasis at Kurukshetra, he became very much eager to meet the people in Vrindavana, the Brajavasis in Vrindavana. That's why he had to kill Dantavakra to come to Braja so that he could meet his dearmost associates. Dantavakra was given the name because he had crooked teeth, and this place is known as Datia. And there, this Santanukunda is there. And now, a word about this Santanukunda. As we know about Bhisma, Bhisma in his previous life, he was known as Dev, and he was the leader of the 8 Basus who were cursed by Vasishtha Muni to take human births for having stolen his heavenly cow. Now, when the Basus realized their mistake and returned the cow, they begged the sage's forgiveness, and the sage was somewhat appeased. He was pleased. Still, he had already spoken the curse, which could not be taken back. The words once spoken, they cannot be taken back. But he told that they would all be freed from the curse immediately after taking birth. All except the eldest, that is Dayo, that is who became Bhisma later on, was the leader and who had instigated the theft. Now, Ganga Devi, who was in the celestial region at that moment, saw the Vasu's despondency and agreed to become their mother on the earth. And this is how Ganga Devi agreed to marry Maharaj Santanu under a certain condition, that is, she would stay with him only as long as he did not question his actions or speak harshly to her. Then for 7 consecutive years, she threw their newborn babies into the Ganges just after they were born. And in this way, 7 of the Basus were quickly freed from Vasishtha Muni's curse. Now Maharaj Santanu was horrified by her actions, and remembering his agreement with him, he remained silent. But when the 8th son was born and about to suffer the same fate, the king could no longer tolerate it, and he admonished his wife Ganga Devi for murdering the children. And now then Ganga then revealed their children's identities and Vasishtha Muni's curse, and so that the eighth son was destined to remain on earth with Maharaj Santanu. Now Ganga Devi then left the king, that is King Santanu, and returned to the heavenly abode. She took the boy with her, but returned him on his 16th birthday. And as we know, he was talented, powerful, virtuous, and he was a great warrior, and he was named Devabrata. And one day when Santanu Maharaj was hunting in the forest, he came upon Satyavati, the daughter of a fisherman, and he was completely captivated by her fragrance and beauty, and he wanted to marry her. But her father would not grant him permission if he promised that her son would inherit the throne. Now the king already had a qualified successor, Devabrata, and when he would never disinherit simply for his own pleasure. Now Devabrata saw his father's disappointment and soon discovered the cause of his despondency. And then Devabrata went to Satyavati's father and agreed to relinquish his right to the throne. But still Satyavati's father remained unsure, fearing that Devabrata's children would actually be next on the line to ascend the throne. And Satyavati's children, the child would not be able to ascend the throne. Then Devabrata was determined to make his father happy. Therefore, he took a vow of lifelong celibacy to rule out the possibility that he would have any sons in his line. And at that fateful moment, a voice proclaimed from the sky that Visma, one with terrible vow. That's why he is known as Visma in Mahabharata. And this is described in the first chapter of Mahabharata. And this is what is the story of the Santanu Kunda. Then let us go on to the next. Let us see, let us go from Santanu Kunda to Radha Kunda. Now, from Santanu Kunda, if you go, as we have discussed, we saw the Santanu Bihari temple, the Santanu Kunda. Then we go to Khechari Gaon, Khechari village. This story will come to know. Then Bahulavana, then Ral, and then Basati, then Radhakunda. In Radhakunda, we'll see in detail the various places around. And now, first we go to the Khechari. Now, Khechari is a village where Putana was born. The word Khechari refers to a witch who can fly. And now, Bakasura and Agasura were her younger brothers. And they were also equally demoniac like Putana. And they were all were born there. And here in the village, large shade trees surround the village. And there is a kunda also there. And here baby Krishna had sucked out Putana's life heirs, and then Putana died. And Garga Samhita states that in her previous life, Putana was Ratnamala, and Ratnamala was Bali Maharaj's daughter. When Ratnamala saw that Vamandev approached her father during the Aswamedha Yajna on the bank of Narmada river, she felt motherly love awakened in her, and she yearned for a son like him only, that is like Vamandev. She imagined how she would breastfeed him, and thus she became fortunate and satisfied. But as things progressed, and she saw her father bound by Vamandeva at the end, Ratnamala thought that she should kill him. And now the Lord could understand her thoughts, and he, as we know, whatever we desire, he always fulfills that, but at the right time. Then the Lord blessed Ratnamala with the fulfillment of both her desires. Thus, she appeared in Dwapar Yuga as Putana with very evil intentions by offering her breast to the Lord to suck, and in that process, she attained the position of a nursemaid, one of the 7 mothers listed in the Vedas in the spiritual world. And that this is what is the importance of this Kechari village. Then around that there is Mayurbana also, and this forest is also very, very beautiful, where Krishna danced with the peacocks, and this pastime is referred in the Bhagavatam's 10th canto, 21st chapter also, that is in Venu Gita. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes how once the peacocks, they asked Krishna to play his flute so that they could dance. And when Krishna began to play the flute, the peacock circled him and danced with great bliss to the rhythm, and everybody was enchanted and captivated. And then Krishna began to sing and dance with them, and the peacocks, they were very much pleased with him, with his performance, and in gratitude they offered him the feathers. That's why Krishna puts his feathers on his pagadi, that is on his crown. And thus, like a true performer, Krishna graciously accepted their offering and placed the feather on the top of his turban. And now, the trees which are there, it is said they are wish fulfilling trees. And when anybody goes there, if you ask anything from the trees, one gets them also. Now we should remember that all these forests in Vrindavana, they are confidential gift to those who come in contact with them. That's why when we go there, we should have respect for them. And then we come to Bahulavana. Now, in Skanda Purana, Mathura Khanda, it is stated about Bahulavana that Bahula is the wife of Lord Vishnu, but eternally resides here in the forest. And by visiting this place, which is also called as Padmavana, which is situated in Bahulavana, one achieves great piety. And a few kilometers from the Khechari village, this Bahulavana is located. The forest is named after Bahula. Bahula was a cow. It is because of her honesty, she won the Lord's favor. And the story is given in Padma Purana. Now, what happened? A tiger once threatened to devour Bahula when she had gone to the forest. However, the cow was worried about her newborn calf, and she pleaded to the tiger to grant her time to feed her calf before he consumed her. Now she ardently promised that she would come back after this. Then after some discussion, what happened? The cow went and she fed her calf. But when the calf heard the story, she also said, "Ki, I will also go with you." And when the owner of the cow, he heard the story, he said, "No, no, I'll also go with you." Then all three of them, they came to the cow, and Bahula kept her promise and returned to the tiger, and there each one pleaded that he or she should be eaten by the tiger and nobody else. And then the tiger was none other than Dharmaraj, the god of death, and then he took his original form, and he did not eat the cow, and he blessed all three of them. Now, this pastime coincides with the appearance of the Radha Kunda on the 8th day of the waning moon in Kartika. Therefore, this is also celebrated here in Vraj. Let us see, and then the next is Sankarsana Kunda. And this is one picture. There is another picture also of the Sankarsana Kunda, which is there on the banks of the Sankarsana Kunda. They are very, very steep, and the water is very deep and clean. Here there is a temple which is dedicated to Bahula. Here during Krishna's time, here the cows would graze, and Krishna and Balrama and his friends, they would pass their time uh, around the lake. Then the cows then come back to the this kunda for drinking water, and this is very famous. And here Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he had visited the Vraj, he also had come there and visited. Then next we go to Basati village. Basati means residence. And now, while moving from Raval to Barsana, Brisavanu Maharaj made his camp here. Gradually, the village name changed to Basati or Basanti. And 3 kilometers southwest of Basati is Mukharati, the village of Mukhara. Mukhara is Srimati Radharani's maternal grandmother. Now, Krishna, the king Brisavanu, the movement coincided with Nanda Maharaj's movement with the whole community who decided to go from Gokula to Nandagrama because of the repeated attacks of Kansas and boys, that is the demons. And according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, Krishna was at that time about 3 years, 4 months old. And on their way, they camped between Govardhana Hill and Yamuna. And more precisely, this place is known as Chattikara. That is, when you go from Vrindavana, you hit the national highway, that is the Delhi-Agra highway, NH2. Generally, that area is on the other side of the road. That area is known as Chattikara. And now Chattikara was previously called also Sakti Vrata, because when Nanda Maharaj stayed there, all the Shaktas, that is the bull carts, which were used for transportation, they were arranged in a circle there for the travelers' protection. This is also given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And they stayed there for 3 years, 4 months. That is when the Lord moved to Vrindavana from there, he was 6 years, 8 months. Now, the village Ral is halfway between Chattikara and Radhakunda, and it is about 7 kilometers northeast of Basati. And Nanda Maharaj's camp at Chattikara was so large that it extended up to Ral. Then another significant place in this area is Suryakunda, which is north of Basati village, and it is 7 kilometers off the road between Chattikara and Radhakunda. And knowing that the Lord had appeared on the earth, the demigods, they also descended to this material world to take his darshana. And Surya Dev, the father of Yamuna Mata, he appeared in this place. And the Surya Kunda is a memorial in this place for him. This is what Raghav Pandita says in this connection. And as we know, Raghav Pandita is the one who had shown the Brajamandala on the orders of Jiva Goswami to Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur. And this Surya temple, about this Surya temple and Surya Mandira in what is given in Bhakti Ratnakara is that the deity of Surya Deva is very, very merciful and awards love of Krishna, and nobody can describe his glories. And the acharyas, they describe the worship of the sun god at Surya Kunda. Radha and Krishna's pastimes are, as we know, they are divided into 8 parts in a day of 24 hours. That is, each part is of 3 hours. And these are known as Ashtakaliya Leela, or eightfold daily pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And one part which extends from 10:48 till 3:36 in the morning, that is 10:48 a.m. to 3:36 p.m. Now during this time, Radharani and her Sakhis, they used to come to worship Surya Deva in this place on the pretext of meeting Krishna. And Krishna used to come in disguise as a priest or somebody else at different times, followed or assisted by his friends Madhumangala and others. And they used to meet and have fun there. Even one of the stories, if you remember, a long time back, I told you, one day even her so-called mother-in-law, Jatila also, Kutila also, no, Jatila also came, but she also could not recognize Krishna. All these the pastimes, they happened there. Then you follow the road and go. And here another thing to remember, Nanda Maharaj and his family community, how they relocated from Gokula to Vrindavana. And then thereafter, we go and reach Radha Kunda. Radha Kunda, as you know, of all the holy places, all the sacred places which are very, very dear to Krishna, Radha Kunda is most dear. And how it was created, Radha Kunda and Shyama Kunda, that I am not covering. This is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And regarding Radha Kunda and the various places around Radha Kunda, we'll see in great detail. And let us go on to the next day, that is the Govardhan Parikrama, Govardhana and the various places around that. This is the photograph of Radha Kunda and Shyama Kunda. Radha Kunda is a rectangular in shape, but Krishna Kunda or Shyama Kunda is crooked, like Krishna only. But surprisingly, in that area, nobody, no Brajavasi will call it Shyama Kunda only. Everybody calls this area as Radha Kunda only. And in the map, everywhere in signposting, you will find the name of Radha Kunda and not Shyama Kunda. Now, before we go over to Govardhana Parikrama, let us have a 5 minutes break. We'll meet after 5 minutes and then go through the various places from Radha Kunda to Govardhana. Hare Krishna. welcome back. We'll start from where we had left. That is, now we'll be going around Radha Kunda. We'll be going around Govardhana, walking from Radha Kunda. We'll see the various places. Now in the Radha Kunda area, Radha Kunda, Shyama Kunda are there. You saw the photograph. And then the Radha Kunja Bihari Gaudiya Matha, that is located there. Then there the Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Gorakishar Das Babaji Maharaj is there. And then Mahaprabhu's temple is there. And then as you come along, then Uddhava Kunda is there. And on the other side of the Govardhana, Kusum Sarovar, Narad Kunda, Naradavana, we see all these places. And then when you come south of Uddhava Kunda, you find Chakreshwar Mahadeva, Sanatan Goswami, Bhajan Kutira, and then the Govardhan town. And on the other side of Govardhana are Manasi, Ganga, Haridev temple, Danagati, then the ISKCON Bhaktivedanta ashram. Then as you come down, you will come to on the south, you will come to Mukharavinda, Jatipura, then Indrakunda, then Suravikunda, and on the other side of Govardhana, the places are Anior. Anior is the place where Krishna had taken all the Brajavasis and used all the paraphernalia items required for Indra Yajna to worship Govardhana, because we have to remember that there is no difference between Govardhana and Lord Krishna. That is the Anior village. Then the Sankarsana Kunda, and then Govinda Kunda, then Madhavendra Puri Baithaka. That story of Madhavendra Puri, how he found the deity of Govinda, then that story, then Raghava Pandita Gufa, then Apsara Kunda, Punchri Ki Lotha, and Nabal Kunda. These are the various places which will be seeing in our journey and of Govardhan Parikrama, that is around Govardhana. Please remember that Govardhana is so sacred that it is none other than Krishna. Therefore, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they do not climb on Govardhana. And the second thing, don't think that you are seeing a stone there. They may look like stones or boulders, but that is the form of Lord Krishna. That's why don't lift and bring any stone also or sila on your own, because that is not very correct. Now, this is about Govardhana. You know the story, how it got formed. What happened? Ulyasta Rasi, he was traveling from Salmali Deepa. Then he saw this Govardhana hill, and he was very much attracted. That's why he decided to take the mountain back to Kasi, where Lord Shiva is worshipped. Now there are no mountains in Kasi. That's why he wanted to, the sage wanted to bring Govardhana there. Therefore, he did his austerities there, and he approached Govardhana's father Drona and begged for his son in charity. Then the father and son were filled with the sorrow that they are being separated from one another. But Mount Drona could not refuse, because he feared that otherwise the Pulyastra Rishi is going to curse him. So he had to give his son Govardhana in charity, and therefore Govardhana also agreed to go on one condition, that wherever Pulyastra Rishi sets him down, he would stay there only and he will not move ahead of that place. And Pulyastra Rishi agreed, and lifting Govardhana hill on his right hand, he began his journey to Kashi. Now, while passing through Braja, Govardhana remembered his previous life and understood that he had to remain there in Govardhana only, in Vrindavan only. And he knew that the Lord would later appear in Vrindavana and would walk on his body and play with his friends there on the Govardhana hill, on the summit. And he knew that the Lord would also enjoy many pastimes in the caves there in Govardhana. So what he did, he made himself heavier and heavier until Pulyastra Rishi felt exhausted, and forgetting his agreement with Govardhana, he set Govardhana down on the earth. Now the sage rested for a while and he took bath, and then when he returned to lift Govardhana, then Govardhana reminded him of the promise made earlier. Because of that, he would not leave that place. He remained reminded of Pulyasta of their agreement, and the sage, whose desire was totally frustrated, he angrily cursed Govardhana that he would sink in size by the size of a mustard seed a day. And at that time, Govardhana was 2 yojanas, that is 16 miles high. Today, it is only about 80 feet or so at its highest point. And a day would come when it will be of the height of the surrounding earth only. Now, when Lord Rama ordered the bridge to be built in Lanka, the rocks and stones were brought from many places to construct the bridge, and Hanuman used his extraordinary strength to uproot the entire mountains and carry them to Rameswaram. And suddenly, a voice from the sky announced that the bridge was complete and no more rocks are required for construction. Now, Govardhan was despondent because he had been denied of the opportunity to be in touch with Lord Rama's lotus feet. And as we know, there is no difference between Lord Rama and Lord Krishna. Then he wanted to curse Hanuman for depriving him of the opportunity. But Hanuman assured him that in the next yuga, that is Dwapara Yuga, the Lord would appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda, and his desire would be totally fulfilled there in Braja. And Krishna would not only touch him with his feet, but play on his rocks, herding his cows on his slopes, and he would pick him up from his lotus hand and hold him for 7 days on the nail of his little finger. And this would happen, this was promised by Hanuman. And when Hanuman said, when Indra then also reminded that at that time Indra would send torrential rainfall to Braja. Now, this is what is the story of Govardhana Hill. And then we go to, this is Govardhana Hill, the photographs. Now, then we go to Kusum Sarovar. Now, Kusum means flower. Now, the lake is one of the most spectacular lakes in Brajamandala. The water is very clear and it looks greenish. And the architecture which you see on the other side, they have been constructed much later on. but this was a kunja during Krishna's time, and this was known. The banks, the southern bank was known as Kusum Sarovara. There was the trees Asoka Lata was there, and here Krishna used to sit with Radharani, and Krishna used to braid Srimati Radharani's hair. And beside this Asoka Lata is a small temple which is dedicated to Uddhava. Now, as told in Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhava had prayed to the Lord that he should live there, he should stay there as a shrub, as a bush, or as a grass there. And actually, as per Padma Purana, he is existing now. We cannot see him, but we should go and provide prostrated obeisances to Uddhava. And here, this area is known as Uddhava Baithaka. And here, Krishna had sent Uddhava to convey the message to the gopis that he will come back. And Uddhava had delivered the message here. And another very important thing is that after Krishna had left to the spiritual world, the queens, they were very much disheartened, and that's why the queens were brought by Arjuna to Braja. And here in this Kusum Sarovar area, they did Kirtana, and Uddhava Maharaj, he came out and he had explained the Srimad Bhagavatam in 1 month time, in 30 days. And that's how they also they became happy, and they reconciled to the departure of Lord Krishna. And in Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, which is given in Padma Purana, it clearly says that Uddhava became a clump of grass here, and he is existing here. And once after the departure of the Krishna and the Yadus, then what happened about the queens that I told you. And now at that time, Vajranava was the king of Braja and Mathura, and Parikshit Maharaj was the king of Indraprastha. Now, Parikshit Maharaj was also present during this time, but he was not allowed to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Uddhava Maharaj. He said that later on, Sukadeva Goswami would explain to you the complete Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he was given the task of protecting the area while Uddhava was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to the queens of Krishna. And this is very, very important, and it is given in Padma Purana that after the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was a great kirtana, and it was built to a climax. And there all the personalities like Sukadeva Goswami, Arjuna, and many others, they also appeared there and took part in the kirtana. This is what is the importance of this. Then the Narada Kunda. Around this area is Narada Kunda. This is also Kusum Sarovara. Now, when on that Parikrama marg you cross the road, then about half a kilometer from the road, there is Narada Vana, and there is a small forest where Narada Muni, he wrote his Narada Bhakti Sutra, which will be studying from next month onwards. And the Bhakti Ratnakara mentions that he also performed austerities here on Vrindadevi's instruction. And Narada Muni had a strong desire to see the conjugal pastimes of Radha and Krishna, that is the Rasa Leela. But since he had a male body, so he was unable to enter the area where the pastime was taking place. Now, the only male in the conjugal rasa is the Lord Krishna only. And one day, this exalted sage, that is Narada Muni, revealed his mind to Brindadevi, and Brindadevi advised to live in Vraja and perform austerities. And on this order of Brindadevi, Narad Muni, and he attained a suitable form, that is the Gopi form. He became Naradiya Gopi, and he cherished his desire, that is, he took part in the Rasa Leela, and Brinda Devi took Narada to, some say to Kusum Sarovar, some say to a kunda which is known as Narada Kunda, where he took bath and became a gopi. And after that, after the Rasa Leela, he came back, took a bath, and he again got the form of Narada. Now, this kunda, there is a kunda which is known as Narada Kunda, and there is a small temple also nearby, which is home to the deity of Narada Muni. And in Narada Bhakti Sutra, it is given that anyone who trusts the instructions spoken by Narada, and he is convinced by what is written in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, he will be blessed with devotion and attain the most dear Lord, that is Lord Krishna, and he will become an associate of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, just before going through the Narada Bhakti Sutra, please remember this thing. We have to have faith in them, faith in what is being spoken there, and we have to be totally convinced that whatever is spoken there by Lord Krishna, that is what is very, very correct. Then Syambara and Ratna Singhasana. Now, when after visiting the Narada Kunda, you come back to the Parikrama Marga, then you go toward the Govardhana town, and you will pass Shambana on to your right. And there is a mention of Ratna Singhasana, or a jeweled throne, on which Srimati Radharani would sit while enjoying her pastimes in this forest. And Bhakti Ratnakara states that Krishna killed the Sankachuda demon here when the demon was trying to kidnap the gopis. The Leela is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam in very great detail. Then the Lord took the valuable jewel, which resembles a conch, from his head, and presented it to Lord Balrama. And Sankachuda is an expansion of Sridhama, Srimati Radharani's brother. And of course, the curse about which it is written in Garga Samhita. And this happened in the spiritual world, that involved a cursing and counter cursing between the transcendental siblings, that is Radha and her brother. And this resulted in Sridhama appearing as Sankachuda, and Srimati Radharani having to suffer 100 years separation from Krishna in Vrindavana. That story we also know, and how they were united after 100 years. This we have heard in very great detail in Gopal Champu. Now, there is a Swayamvara place also, which is next to Govardhana Hill, which is visible from there between the Shambana and Radhakunda. And this is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a darshan of Giriraja, which is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Govardhana hill, he immediately offered his obeisances, falling down on the ground, and he embraced one piece of rock from Govardhana hill, and he became totally mad. And then we go to Manasi Ganga. Manasi Ganga, after killing Vatsasura, Krishna's friends teased him about his friends and the gopis that teased him for having committed a serious offense by killing a calf. and thus they advised him to atone this by bathing in Ganges and the other in the Ganges. Of course, we know that the supreme personality of Godhead can never be contaminated by anything else. But this was Leela only, and this is how, from his mind only, Krishna had created this Ganga, Manasi Ganga, from his mind, that is Mana, and took bath there in the waters, and this place is known as Manasi Ganga. And this place, this pastime took place in Dwapar Yuga, on Deepavali, the day preceding Govardhan Puja. And on that day, Manasi Ganga is decorated with shining lamps, and thousands of pilgrims, they go there and worship. And when once Nanda Maharaj wanted to go on pilgrimage to Ganga, Krishna advised him to take bath there instead. And the water of Manasi Ganga, it is very, very clean, sweet and placid. And here also, other pastimes we have seen in the past, we have seen in very great detail in the Radha Tattva classes, how Lord Krishna used to have pastimes of boating with the gopis here in the Manasi Ganga, and the gopis, they used to use his boat while ferrying their milk products onto the other side. One day what happened, the Krishna demanded that the gopis should pay to him, and what is the payment? Payment should be the milk products only. And then he said that they should feed him the milk products, and if they did not feed, then he would not have the strength to take them onto the other side. Then they started feeding him, and Lord Krishna ate everything what they had brought. And afterwards, he lay down to take a nap, and asking the gopis to massage his arms and legs. Then the gopis replied that they would throw him overboard if he did not start rowing immediately. And Krishna then started rowing the boat, and after some time he again stopped. And this time he claimed that the boat was sinking because it was too heavy. And he convinced them to throw all their jewelry and whatever pots they had there. And soon after, by the Lord's desire, a great storm appeared in the sky, and the boat started rocking, and Radharani became totally frightened, and she put her arms around the boatman, not knowing that he is Krishna only. And at that moment, she realized that he was none other than Shyamasundara. Now, according to Mathura Mahatmya, exemplified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the pilgrims should first take bath in Manasi Ganga and then see Harideva before beginning their Govardhan Parikrama. That's why we should purify ourselves. Then let us see what is there. Manasi Ganga we saw. Then the Harideva temple. Haridev temple, as I said, it is there. Haridev is a dark complexioned lifter of the Govardhana hill, and he smiles compassionately on the devotees. That's why if we go and offer prostrated obeisances, he will be very much pleased. And Harideva is one of the four principal deities of Vraja. And the original Harideva deity was installed by Vajranava, but later moved to Jaipur during Aurangzeb's attacks, and what is existing today is the Pratibhu form, which is worshipped there. Then we come to Brahmakunda. Now the glories of Brahmakunda at Govardhana, it is described in the Mathura Khanda of Padma Purana. Mathura Mahatmya also, we have seen that after taking bath in the Kunda, Lord Brahma satisfied Sri Krishna, and at that time the demigods headed by Indra created other lakes nearby. And Brahmakunda is actually next to Manasi Ganga, which a little further down only, and near the Harideva temple. And after Lord Chaitanya danced ecstatically in front of Lord Harideva, he decided to stay in the temple for the night. And that time, the Brahmana Baladev Bhattacharya cooked his lunch at Brahmakunda, and Mahaprabhu then took bath in the Brahmakunda and honored the prasad there. And the following day, and the Lord began his Govardhana Parikrama, and he was filled with ecstasy, and the glories are also given in described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then Dana now, Damghati, we should come back to the middle of Govardhan town and skirt around, and then reach the Mathura road, and there we come to Danghati. Danghati is the place where Krishna used to collect taxes from the gopis, and this story also we have seen, how Krishna used to joke with the gopis and demand tax from the gopis who would carry their milk products. And Krishna would say that I am shackled by the order of the forest king who has ordered me to collect tax, and this cannot be disobeyed. And by his order, I am doing this cruel task, please cooperate. And then Vishakha would say that are you a orderly of Kansa? And then Krishna would say no. Then Vishakha would ask, then whom? You are an orderly of whom? Then Krishna would say by the person whose sidelong glance makes Kamsa and a host of other people tremble, and who bears the name of Kamadeva. Thereafter, Lalita and the other Yoshis, other gopis, they laugh. And the story is given in very great detail in Danakali Komodi, which is written by Rupa Goswami. Then we come to the ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Ashram. There is a temple, ISKCON temple also there. And in this area, the spring Rasa dance also took place around Chandra Sarovara. Chandra Sarovara is just nearby. And then let us see what is there next. Now there is a Sankarsana Kunda also here. And then next is Govinda Kunda. Now Govinda Kunda is very, very famous in Vraja, because during the Govardhana Puja, when Govardhana Puja took place on the new moon day, that marks the beginning of Shukla Paksha, the bright fortnight in the month of Kartika. Now the next day was Yamaditya. So all the Brajavasis, they went to Visram Ghata in Mathura to worship Yamaraj and Yamuna Devi. And on the third day, Indra, he started a furious assault on Vraja, sending torrents of rain and hailstorms, which lasted for 7 days, and Krishna had lifted the Govardhana hill from the third day till the ninth day. This whole story we have heard from Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's where he took, he lifted the Govardhana hill, and thereafter what happened, Indra, he realized his fault. He came with the Surabhi cow, and he bathed Krishna and brought water by Iravata from the Ganges, celestial Ganges, and that kunda or place which was filled with all this water, that is known as Govinda Kunda. This is very, very holy, and this is very, very important place here in Vraja. Then the Madhavendra Puri place is also here where he had found the Gopala deity, and how the Brajavasis assisted him to take out the Gopal deity from underneath a tree, and how the Brajavasis they worshipped Gopala there. That story is there. Then toward the end, we come to Kunchari ki Lota. Now the southernmost tip of Govardhana is guarded by Lotha Baba, Krishna's large, well-built friend, who is still waiting there for Krishna to come back from Mathura and Dwarka. And because he had promised to Lotha Baba that he will come back, he will return there. Lotha Baba carries a stick to herd the cows. There is a temple there. When you go, you should visit Kunchari ki Lotha's temple also. Now here, this is the photograph of Madhavendra Puri and Lord Krishna, and this is Kunchari ki Lotha or Lotha Baba, who is still waiting. And then the Raghav Pandit Gufa, the cave is there. Then thereafter, the Kadamba Vana is also there. And then Jatipura. Jatipura is the place because Madhavendra Puri used to stay here, spend time here, and he was a sannyasi or a yati. That's why this place is known as Yatipura. Then Mukharvinda. Then Mukharvinda is in the middle of Jatipura village and next to Govardhan Hill. The followers of Ballavacharya, they consider this place to be Giriraj's lotus mouth. But for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, however, Giriraj's lotus mouth is near Radhakunda and Shyamakunda. This is to be remembered. Then Sakhistali. Sakhistali is a place which was a village of Chandravali Gopi. Chandravali, as you know, she was second to Srimati Radharani, and she was cousin of Srimati Radharani. And now let us see anything left. Then yes, then Uddhava Kunda. Uddhava Kunda, towards the end of Parikrama Marg, the Uddhava Kunda is there. Here in the memory of Uddhava, which is about 4 kilometers from Radha Kunda. There was a time when Govardhana Hill stretched all the way to Radha Kunda and Shyama Kunda, and Krishna would come here from Nandagrama with his cows or dance with the gopis and play with his friends here. And here is Uddhava Kunda. Then Radha Kunja Bihari Gaudiya Matha is there. Then we saw Radha Kunda in, we will see Radha Kunda in great detail in our next class, that is tomorrow. That is the various places which are around Radha Kunda. With this, I come to an end of today's session. Now I'll request you to ask any questions, or if you have got any comments on what so far. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Wonderful, Prabhuji. Thank you for taking me to Vraja.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. We have been going around. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Really felt like we were in Vraja only. Very nice, Prabhu. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to go. So by Prabhuji's grace, I'm there.
Yes. Very nice, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhuji, for taking us to the Vraj. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Nitasaki Mataji.
Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, at Barsana Mangad also Dan Keli Leela used to happen, na?
Yes. When we reach Barsana, we'll talk about that. We'll go into the various places, the ISKCON devotees, the visit in all these places. We have come up to about, I think, 8th day or so. We'll go through whatever we can finish by tomorrow. And then thereafter, when we get a break, we'll go up to day 30 and we'll see all the places which these ISKCON devotees visit in their Brajamandala Parikrama, which is about almost 260 kilometers over 30 days.
Yes,
Hare Krishna.
thank you, Prabhuji. Very well.
Thank you very much.
It
Hare
was such a
Krishna.
lively experience, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, thank you.
Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Just a small question, Prabhuji. You were explaining about Pushpa Samadhi on the way. I was just thinking, Prabhuji, what does Pushpa Samadhi mean, Prabhu?
Okay, Pushpa Samadhi means when we go through Radhakunda tomorrow, we'll talk about this Pushpa Samadhi and others. Basically, what happens during the final ceremony when a saint is given Samadhi, then flowers are offered, and that flower, some of the flowers is taken from there, and the Samadhi is created in some other place that is known as Pushpa Samadhi. That means actual Samadhi is not there. The Samadhi of the flowers which were offered to that saint, that is Pushpa Samadhi. Pushpa Samadhi of our various acharyas that we will see in detail. And very, very most interesting things you will hear tomorrow, like you know, the sannyasis, they are not cremated, their bodies are not, material bodies are not cremated. But some of our acharyas, their bodies were cremated also, and samadhi is created. Who are them, who are they, and why it happened, that we'll discuss tomorrow.
Understand. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for taking us through all the Vrajmandal, Parikrama, main, all of those temples and kunds. It's very fascinating to know about so many details. Prabhuji, I might have missed one of or a couple of your sessions. Did you also mention about the Garuda Govindji temple in
Garuda Govinda, yes, Garuda Govinda, that is while you go from Vrindavana towards Chattikara, that Garuda Govinda temple is there.
Yes, Prabhuji. And there's a big ancient history about this temple that the deity is 1,000 years old, and Garuda ji offered his prayers to Lord Krishna. I mean, he had a bewilderment when Nagpash was around Lord Ram, and Garuda was bewildered that how Lord Ram was tied by Nagpash by Meghnad. So Kakabhushan ji, like in Ramcharitmanas, he says that you go here and you pray, and then during Dwapara Yuga, and Krishna climbed on Garuda's shoulders. And also there is a story that Krishna was playing with one of his friends, and then he acted like Garuda ji, and Krishna climbed his shoulders, and they were playing like that. So there's like 2 or 3 stories of this Garuda Govindaji temple, and they also say that in this temple they do Kalasar Puja, where when Krishna set the Kaliya Nag to leave the Yamuna and go away, so all the snakes were afraid. But in this particular temple, Krishna gave them a blessing that no Garuda can actually harm any of the snakes in this particular temple. So they do the Kal Sarpa Pujan, something like that.
Yes, Mataji. And another thing connected with this, when Krishna wanted to show the Brajavasis the Vaikuntha, then they all were seated on Garuda only and taken to the spiritual world, and they saw what there Krishna was being worshipped in awe and reverence. which they did not like. That's why they came back. They did not like Vaikuntha. That is Aishwarya Vaikuntha, Aishwarya Golaka, because they are in a different mood with the Lord, and which is the best, that is in Madhurya Rasa. So that also took place. Yes, there are many stories with each of these places. They are very famous. I have
Yes,
told you only a fraction of what I could remember. You should go over with the stories in the various books, and they are given, and they are very interesting. And when you go to Vrindavana, try to visit some of them at least every year, so that over a period of time you can visit at least some of them. So that's
yes,
what
Prabhuji.
I can say.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your comments. Any other comment or question? If there are no comments,
Hare,
yes,
sorry.
yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, about the deity of Haridev,
Yes,
you
yes.
said, and Govardhanji. Actually, when I went to Kanpur, near Kanpur, they said that this is where the deity now resides.
Yes, Mataji, what I said, the Jaipur is not correct. Near Kanpur, yes, that is there. Yes,
Okay.
I remember now.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Whereas the other deities, famous deities like Madan Mohan, Govinda, and the three of them, they were rather large number of deities were moved to Jaipur at that time, but three of them that did not return. That is the Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinath. These three deities, they are still there, and the Pratibhu Murtis are there in Vrindavan. That is very correct. Thank you, Mataji, for reminding me. That is their Kanpur only. That is very right.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So with this, we'll conclude today's class with the Singha prayers. I will request Sagar Prabhuji to do the needful, please.
Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obsession. All go to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Praladaladahi. Praladaladahi. Hiranyakasi Purvachaha. Hiranyakasi Purvachaha. Chilatankar Nathali, Chilatankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha, Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha. My Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha, my Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade, Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Tavakala Kamala Bhari, Nakhadbhuta Singham Dharita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam. Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tavakala Kamala Bhari, Nakhadbhuta Singham Dhalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam. Savadhita Narahari Rupa, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare. नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, प्रपात की जय, चारू प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल एस्टिमेबल डिवोटी की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandapat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Then we meet the same time tomorrow morning.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Krishna,
Thank
Dandavat
you very
Pranam,
much.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Hare Krishna, everybody.